studios have held back artists for far too long. The system is set up to reward the studios and not the artists. In this polarized world, where everything is viewed through a political lens, it used to be entertainment that allowed us to escape. Whether it was a great movie, music, or a favorite entertainer, we always had those mediums to free us from our daily lives. At Creado, we are developing a brand new solution built with the artists in mind, empowering them to deliver original content directly to an engaged audience. Whether you are an investor or you simply want to support our mission, you can become a member today. We are ready to take the next step to bring this to market, but we need your help. Join our mission today at creado.media, and together we will let freedom stream.
Hello, happy Thursday, February 17th, 2022. Thank you for joining us on A New Perspective. I am your host, Lisa, and this is my co-host, the beautiful Summer. We're going to be bringing you a very special episode on A New Perspective this evening. We're doing something a little bit different. We're going to have AlphaWarrior as a guest, and we're also going to be bringing on Trans-Splendor. So we're doing sort of a fusion of our Alpha network all in one on this Thursday night. We've got some really live action special guests from Canada live at the Freedom Convoy 2022 Truckers Convoy in Ottawa. So Trans is going to be joining us, and from what I understand, there is some very interesting turn of events taking place currently. So he's going to be a little bit of a delay as we wait for him. We're going to try to cover as much content as we can and sort of have a little bit of a discussion. Alpha, are you with us? Hey, Summer, how's it going?
Hi, doll. I'm good. I'm a little pissed off tonight, but it is what it is. It's been a
Pissed
day.
off is good. Pissed off is good. Gets those engines running on all cylinders, and that's when we really start to make some headway in our thought content and our ideas, and get other people fired up, get other people pissed off, get other people involved. That's the whole idea, isn't it? Hey, Alpha, how's it going?
It's going. Let me tell you, ladies. Aside from the late breaking news that's going on, I have a freaking remodel going in my little makeshift studio, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm like, oh my god! And cables weren't long enough, and I'm trying to get things to work, and it has been one heck of an adventure. While I was sitting here waiting, and now it looks like Summer wants to disappear on us. So it's gonna be yeah. one of those evenings. But you know what? Some of the best shows are the ones where they're just completely unpredictable. So I don't know if you can hear us, Summer, but you disappeared out into the void of big tech. So
hopefully she'll come back and we didn't scare her away. Summer, come back whenever you're ready. I don't know if you had to go grab tissues or what, but if you're pissed off, maybe she's getting a shot of vodka. Who knows?
We didn't get her emotional that quick, did we?
I had to sneeze and then I coughed. It was awful.
We don't want people getting COVID through their computer or phone or whatever they're watching us on.
You guys are already bringing me to tears.
That's the whole reason people show up to live. They want to, see us, die like some Final Destination death, or they want to see something cool. Like maybe Eric walking in the background behind you in front of the green screen with just his.
Oh God, you don't want to see that. You don't want that.
But I am looking
that literally
forward,
was like a sneeze attack. Woo.
But I'm definitely looking forward to the show with you ladies tonight. It's going to be pretty interesting, and hearing the new developments that Trans going to bring for all of us tonight. It's something. So
Trans has been lighting up Twitter. He's been lighting it up, though. I mean, he has been there for going on 2.5, 3 weeks. God bless his wife and kids for that sacrifice, and for Trans being there and doing all the reporting that he's done. He seems to have, all the details of everything that's happening as it's transpiring. And he's really kicking up the dust and, bringing people full circle into what exactly is going down. And even more importantly, what we're seeing on Twitter Spaces with Rampart, the most amazing radio host ever. He's bringing it to us daily. We're getting, a whole however long Twitter Spaces, his specific Canadian space goes on for hours at times. And that
Days.
is one of the biggest spaces I've seen fill up with hundreds of people. And, it's just a really great space to take in a lot of content from people that are on the ground in Ottawa, Canadians, Americans, everybody that's truly concerned with the tyranny that's taken place and fighting these mandates off. So, I'm real proud of him.
I'm telling you, I was in a space a little bit earlier while I was making dinner, and I just do not understand where some people are coming from with this. I mean, it was kind of funny. They're very upset about the honking. And every time we say honking, take a shot or a drink or whatever you have.
Honk, honk.
The honking. They're like, oh my God, the honking. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I will take honking over this nonsense any day. But it is just entitlement. They don't understand. And it's so frustrating because there's nothing we can do. Like, you can't fix stupid. Like, I'm sorry. You just
don't let us inconvenience you with our honking. Don't mind us. We'll just be inconvenienced by your mandates.
Well, the part that I found absolutely hilarious is they're complaining about the honking, and they're complaining that the convoy has shut down businesses. I'm like, you shut down businesses for 2 fucking years.
They were burning cities. They were literally like killing people, raping people. Like, do we forget about the summer of love? I mean, what the heck are we doing? This is nuts. I don't know. I don't understand this.
Businesses. 2 weeks of shutting down businesses from some honking. And, like Alpha's saying, 2 years, and people have lost their livelihoods. People have lost their savings. People have lost their sense of security and their survival. And that kicks up that mental health situation. There we go again. That's another rabbit hole to bounce back.
People have lost their immunity. My daughter today, had to go to 2 doctor's appointments to deal with, this lupus brought on by this vaccine. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? And you're inconvenienced by honking? Better drink up, Lisa. That's our word of the day. Honking.
Honk, honk.
Honk, honk. I got my Canadian American flag today, and I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Blowing in the wind outside.
So Alpha, give us the scoop. What do you know about the latest on these crowdsource funding accounts? I know, there was the GoFundMe situation, which I know you've got some feathers in the hat about, and I definitely want to hear about that. But as far as that Give Send Go, the one that got frozen, and then I understand there was another one that came to be that were, it was gaining steam pretty quickly, within a matter of hours. I don't know where we're at with that.
Yeah, well, the main thing was, something I wanted to touch on with Trans, but we could address it now and maybe again later when he gets on here. But the main thing was as far as the red flags that I saw. And, there was a conversation that took place, and we'll save that for when Trans gets here because I want his take on it. But one of the red flags was the GoFundMe account. Now, we've seen over the last 2 years what the deep state, what big tech, the powers that be, the government has done to any conservative account that used GoFundMe. Literally, they would freeze the funds and immediately return them back to the donators, or they would just, cancel it or investigate it. So I can understand if this was at the beginning of the movement and somebody uses a GoFundMe and we're like, oh man, I didn't see this happening. But 2 years into it, and literally hundreds and hundreds of crowdfunding GoFundMe accounts, and then the leadership of the convoy chooses to use GoFundMe. So, that was the first red flag for me. And like I said, we'll touch on that when Trans gets here. Yeah. But I wasn't surprised, and I'd even warned everybody, they're going to freeze the money. It's going to happen in one of 2 ways. They're going to do it like they did it before, or they're going to follow the narrative that our country used on January 6th to paint the people as domestic terrorists, and then use, their version of the Patriot Act or whatever domestic or foreign terrorism acts they have to freeze the assets. So obviously we saw that transpire, and then Give Send Go turns around, which is the Christian crowdfunding site. It's one that I use for my campaign, and immediately picked up traction. And I think within 3 or 4 days, they're already at $2 or $3 million.
Fantastic. So now how are the truckers actually getting access to these funds? to replenish their food supply, their fuel supply, their accommodations while they hold the line?
That's a good question. That's one of the questions that I had for trans, because everything I heard from the leadership was that the money's being distributed and it's primarily going to be for fuel. So that was one of the things that I was kind of curious for, because they said they're going to have receipts for everything. So, you know, is this prepaid fuel at destinations where, hey, anybody that comes in with, you know, this convoy code, you know, there's already, you know, a $20,000 allotment of fuel, and then let us know when it's expunged. I don't know. That's one of the things that I wanted to ask them.
Right.
Because I'm very curious to how the logistics of all that stuff's being paid out for.
Yeah, I'm curious to know myself, because there are thousands of people that have sort of circulated in and out of this thing over the last few weeks that they've set up their occupation. And so there's a lot of new developments that have been occurring day after day after day as this has, you know, continually gained steam. And I think one of them today was the arrest of Tamara Lynch. I still don't know, or Litch. I still don't know, or I hadn't seen, if anybody could enlighten us, and likely trans may be able to, if there were specific charges brought against her for that arrest. Like, on what grounds was she detained? And
I don't know. These are all the questions that I want to get from trans, because I've literally been out of the loop for, you know, the last 32 hours with regards to the convoy.
Right.
But one of the things
I'll tell you this, Alpha, I was watching a live journalist, I guess, a citizen journalist today, and it was the most beautiful thing. I guess every day they do this Jericho walk. So they go around the parliament however many times, and then at the end, all the truckers lay on their horns. I am not going to lie, I was crying a little bit. It was so beautiful. But before all of that, and it was probably a good hour, he was just walking around. There was nothing going on except people. There was a food truck. There were, you know, just people talking. There were people praying at one of the monuments. And it blows my mind how the media has completely distorted what this really is. It was, I mean, and I was actually surprised there weren't a lot of people out. I mean, and the ones that were out, you know, he asked them, do you want to be, you know, you want to talk to the world? And it just goes to show you that this is so one-sided, and I've never seen anything like this. And having been on that side at one point in my life, I'm just and I'm sad. I just don't understand what it is. And then you have Hillary Clinton just walking around like it's nothing. And yet we have this, you know, this whole thing that's going down with our Canadian, you know, patriots, and it's just disgusting. So
karma happens on its own time. She's got hers coming. Nobody can say when, but she's got hers coming.
And the other thing you got to remember with that summer is it's all part of their propaganda. You know, you go back to I believe in our country, the one that Obama approved, the Smith-Mutt Act, if I said it correctly. And it was, you know, allowing our own government to use propaganda against its own people. You know,
I just read about that yesterday.
It's a very big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal.
One of the things I want to bring up, since we have some time and trans isn't here, it's an article that I came across in the Gateway Pundit, and I'll bring it up. And here, let me scroll so everybody can see the title. And this is from today, but it says, "We just lost Canada. Ottawa police chief warns citizens against participating in unlawful activities of engaging in demonstrations." So you read the title and you're like, okay, I see it. Now, if you guys don't remember, I had a lot to say about the Ottawa police chief. I mean, I was very open on Twitter, calling him a piece of shit communist, and what he was doing to his men and women that work for him. But lo and behold, they didn't get what they wanted out of this guy. And remember, this police chief is a piece of shit. What he was doing to the truckers, you know, denying them fuel, denying them food. So even to the level that this police chief went, they still wanted him to do more. And you'd say, okay, well, Alpha, you're not in that precinct. You're not in that police chief's office. How do you know? Well, it's all based on actions. We saw all the stuff that he was willing to do, willing to comment on. But then he goes and he puts in his resignation. Now, the only reason somebody like this would put their resignation in is because whatever the new demands are even went outside the realm of what this freaking bastard was willing to do. That right there tells me, what do they have up their sleeve?
Yep.
So if you continue reading the article, the new interim chief that they're replacing with, his name is Steve Bell. He makes this comment. On Thursday, Chief Bell told reporters the Ottawa police. Did I lose you guys?
No, I'm reading it. I've already read ahead, and I'm blown away right now with what I've just read.
I can't believe what he's saying.
Well, the comment that the new interim police chief says is, the police are ready to use methods people are not used to seeing in the Capitol.
Wow.
Now,
remember,
as anybody, I will give anybody $100 if you can send me any video of a trucker doing something violent proactively. Not some video clip where a trucker's punching someone back because some douchebag was trying to damage his truck or something. You show me a video clip of anybody from the convoy proactively trying to do something violent, I'll give you $100 fucking dollars, because you're not going to find it. No, so since that doesn't exist, how the hell do you tell me that this new interim police chief from Ottawa has the right to say that they're going to see something that nobody? I mean, he's saying there's a reckoning coming. For what?
So that tells me there's some provocateurs or bad actors that are going to be injected.
They have something up their sleeve.
Absolutely, they're going to turn it into a January 6th situation just to clear.
But my fear is it's going to be worse. My fear is that it's going to be worse than January 6th, because January 6th honestly was nothing. When you really stop and think about it, it was nothing, as you know. But
it was some trespassing, maybe.
The one thing that I think we have voting on our side with the Freedom Convoy is, I have no doubt in my mind, when the initial birth of this movement was started, it was a black hat operation. It was something designed to be a false flag event. The good part is that enough good people, enough good truckers got behind it and literally took it over. And I think that's what prevented it from being what they wanted, because they wanted a J6. Mm-hmm. But I think they got so overwhelmed with the good people taking control of it, they weren't able to pull it off.
It's very reminiscent of 2016's election, is it not?
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
I want to play this video right here real quick. So I'll mute my mic so it doesn't echo. And then after I do that, I'll hit play for you guys. So let me mute me.
And obviously, I don't know when you guys are going to go in or whatever, but there's still lots of people just walking on Wellington Street and all that are supporting. So what, and they're probably going to continue. What are you saying to these people if they don't want to leave either?
So our message has been pretty consistent around that. And more importantly, the message from our community and our residents has been pretty consistent around that. Do not come to our downtown core. We are tired of what's occurring there. We're sick of what's happening in our streets. So leave our area. We will continue with that message this weekend, but you're seeing an increased enforcement presence, and we won't be allowing people to come down for the unlawful activity of engaging in demonstrations.
Thank you.
Pardon me?
Since when did demonstrations become unlawful?
I'm sorry, are we going to go back to what was happening before?
Well, and see, that's the one question that I wanted to pose to Trans, because I don't really know how their charter is worded in comparison to our Constitution. But he literally said that going down there and protesting and demonstrating is unlawful. And I'm curious. So if we have anybody that's in the chat audience that's from Canada, please let us know. Are you allowed to gather in public in somewhere that's open to the public and protest or demonstrate, or is that something that's, not protected in your guys' charter rights? Because I'm very curious to that.
I mean, surely there has to have been some demonstrations, in the history of the Canadian, government or, its citizens somewhere, surely somewhere in the past. I mean, that's how action
happened,
place,
just
right?
like it did here. Yes, it happened. I mean, and Justin Trudeau even talked about that. He said that he was behind the BLM movement, what they were doing. He was there. He supported it. This is the thing. This is an attack on, I don't even want to say conservatives, because it isn't. Like, they're just putting us in this bubble. This isn't conservatives. These are just freedom lovers. These are people that are for bodily autonomy. I'm sorry. I don't want to be raped by your needle. I don't want to get lupus or HIV or whatever else is going around. And I want to wait. And I don't trust anything Why did Justin Trudeau buy 11 vials of this vaccine per Canadian?
11.
11.
And
11.
It's more than just that. It's I think, there's plenty of people that have gone ahead and gotten the injection and still they're like, what are we mandating this for? Clearly it's not effective for preventing COVID after, a first, a second, and a third. And, and still we're pushing for masks because those must be effective since all these vaccines and boosters aren't, right?
They're crazy. They're crazy.
But
And
it's
where
really,
are the Republicans? We haven't heard a word. Where are the Republicans?
And why is that? Why haven't we heard anything? What does that tell you? Birds of a feather. Every bird has two wings, a left and a right. It's the same head, though.
It's the same head. Exactly. Oh, it's so frustrating.
Well, if you ladies weren't already pissed off, did you hear about what they're going to do to the pets of the truckers and the people in the protests?
Are they euthanizing them after 7 days of holding? Is that what I just saw?
So what they're yes and no. So anybody that's arrested as part of the protest or demonstration, so whether it be the truckers or any of the patrons that are out there, as you've seen in all the videos, a lot of people have their pets with them. Mm-hmm. So anybody that's arrested, their pets are going to be confiscated by law enforcement and they're going to be held for 8 days. So the owner has 8 days to come back and get their pet. But here's the fine writing in that statement. After 8 days, they have a policy that if the pet isn't, if nobody comes to pick up the pet's considered relinquished. At that point, they can go through either the adoption process or euthanize them.
Stop it.
So everybody wondering, well, then all they got to do is just go pick up their pet. How many J6 people do you know were released in less than 8 days?
Exactly.
And that is my fear. That's exactly what I said. When she got arrested and I went downstairs and Eric was like, yeah, I was trying to tell you earlier. And I'm like, what's going on? And my whole thing was, holy shit, here we go. They are still holding J6 and now they're freezing assets. They're literally taking money. Like what the hell are we doing?
And even more so, here's another pushback on your freedoms. You're not allowed to have a choice whatsoever, because if you're even found to be a Trump supporter in any way, a freedom supporter, any sort of a patriot, you are automatically, your bank account is now frozen. They will confiscate your material possessions.
Well, the part and one of the reasons I brought it up, one, I know a lot of people aren't aware of it because that information just got out today. But the second part is that's almost extortion. Mm-hmm. It's a threat. It's literally telling somebody, if you don't do this, I'm going to do this. And it's the government telling the people, because they know, how do people feel about their pets? 99% of the people consider the pets their family.
Children.
Well, that's where I'm going there next.
Let's not
go there. They're going to do this to pets. What do you think the next thing they're going to do?
Exactly.
Any parent that's arrested there with their children, the children are going to be picked up and relinquished to CPS.
Great. What do we know about
where
CPS?
do we fall? Like, I would love to hear from both of you.
Obama.
Yeah, well, I know that. But I mean,
Obama is where, as conservatives, we saw it. But the setup for it was, I would say, it was done as far back. I mean, even before, but definitely with Bush. Because where did the Patriot Act? The Patriot Act didn't happen under Obama.
No, it did not. But I'm sure he had plenty to do with it.
Oh, I'm sure they've all been in the mix for a while.
Absolutely.
But the Patriot Act, that I believe that was the downfall of what's going on right now.
And as frustrating as that is, I've seen Trudeau with these interviews now saying how he admires Xi of China because of his dictatorship. He would like to model that dictatorship.
If you want to know how long this has been in their playbook, and I need everybody, go grab your aluminum, go grab your tin foil.
Mine's on. It's just invisible.
Okay. So let me ask you two ladies this question. Do you think that the Olympics being held in Beijing, China,
Not
this year
coincidental at all.
was a coincidence?
Absolutely
Not
not.
Okay. So
I don't believe
since-
in coincidences.
and I agree with you guys. So since we know it's not a coincidence, how long are the Olympic events planned out?
Oh, years.
12 years, 16 years? We already
Years
know
upon years.
that
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. We already know where, the next Olympics are going to be held, the Olympics after that, and even the Olympics after that. So when I look at this, the way I see it is they're trying to prop up China on a pedestal. Just like you said, Trudeau saying, Xi is a freaking hero, essentially, and that's the way of life. Even though we already know what they're doing to their own people because of what we heard from, Mitchell Gerber. So my thought is China is the one that all of a sudden they're over it. They're not going through things. I mean, their people are literally having, outside club parties while we were all in a lockdown. We saw that on mainstream media. We see the NIH, the CDC, and the WHO all saying that China didn't do nothing wrong. They handled it properly. So, and now we see the Olympics being held there. This was meant to make America look like a bunch of pussy ass pansies that are falling
Right.
apart.
That's
And
right.
China is the new world leader.
With a
What's
poor
one of the-
leader.
Yeah, and what's
We
one of
have
the
a
most
weak
important?
leader.
Yeah, and one of the most important sporting world events that exists is the Olympics.
Mhm.
So this was all planned out to make China look strong and like what everybody wanted, and to make America look like, hey, look, it didn't work.
It's so frustrating. I hate this. I just,
What's even more frustrating about the Olympics to me, and as we saw, what was it, just whenever, what was that, 2012? The whole entire intro that had that big Grim Reaper and all the hospital beds
yep.
and the babies, it was shaped in a coronavirus. What we see is the little, the anagram of the top of the coronavirus, that little whatever that we're looking at. That's literally the diagram that was shown from an overhead view of what we were seeing with the way all these hospital beds were lined up. They were telling us, they've always told us what their plans are, but people have been too busy with their lives and moving forward. And, the busyness that we've become, nobody can pay attention to these things. And now we've got so many people wide awake, and we are ascending in thought. We are paying very close attention. But the problem is, how do we turn the boat around? How do we right the boat? And are we moving in the right direction fast enough? Or is it too far gone? And I'm hoping Canada shows us that there is some glimmer of hope here with whatever transpires. But I am fearful for these people, but I am proud of them. And my heart stands with these people. Every one of these truckers have proven to be the heroes, the unsung heroes. And, we don't give them enough credit. We don't.
Well, and it's really frustrating, excuse me, to listen to these people talk about them the way that they do, as if they're nothing. And I'm going to go off for 2 seconds because I have to cough. Pardon me.
Vodka.
5 moment.
Summer
Yeah.
makes me laugh.
She cracks me up. I just love her to death. So there's a whole lot still
I'm
that's
back, bitches.
unfolding through all of that. Was fast.
That was wow, that was aggressive when I came back. I honestly, tonight has just riled me up because I cannot believe that this is really happening, that they are arresting. But we knew this was going to happen. Like, I'm not surprised, but at the same time, I kind of am surprised. It's like it's taken you 3 weeks, and I just don't think that they thought it would go on this long. And where is Trans? I have so many questions for him.
Can you guys back me up? I'm going to take a side road here because I did read something, in the headlines over the week as I had a chance to sort of jump in and out of it between my work schedule. But did I read this correctly, that there was a BLM activist or
Yes.
an activist, gun right activist out of Louisville who attempted murder on a mayor in Louisville, shot at this human being, and has already been released? Do I understand that correctly?
You understand that
He-
100% correctly.
He fired a gun that he is actively protesting against people having rights to, but he has a gun, and he discharged his firearm on a would-be elected official and
Yep.
somehow has given a pat on the butt and a free pass to just go home and hang out until we figure out what we're going to do with you. Meanwhile, we still see J6 freedom loving patriots who stood up because something was not right, still locked away in these deplorable conditions
I just sent it to you, Lisa.
for over a year.
Yep. Or look at Kyle Rittenhouse. What I sent you is literally a side-by-side of this guy and Kyle Rittenhouse. And it is disgusting. And I have never, like I said earlier, I'm just so frustrated because I just don't know, like, where did we lose this freedom to believe, to feel, to love? I mean, it is just so incredibly one-sided. And if you are against that, then you're always the enemy. Like, I mean, I don't give two
So-
shits what you think. I don't care. Think how
You know
you want.
what?
Do what
know
you want
what?
to do. Leave me the fuck alone.
You know what I think?
I'm
I
so
think
sorry
the
because
real
I know my mother-in-law is
fringe,
listening to this.
the real fringe minority are these government officials that have somehow found themselves in their positions of power. And I don't believe it was by an accurate, true vote from we the people at any point in
Well, we
time. I
know
think
that
these people were
here.
placed like pawns intentionally because they're put there to do a job. That's all there is to it. So I don't know where I
What
was
do we
going with that.
do? I mean,
I'm-
I get that it's all
I'm
done on
frustrated,
purpose.
but I think there's more of us than we realize. I think the fact that we've seen the J6 prisoners and what's happened to them has left people feeling a little sort of timid about pushing forward and becoming the next J6 prisoners. But at the end of the day, I truly believe there are more patriots in this country and in Canada and in Australia and New Zealand and everywhere else around this globe, more in common than indifferent. We don't trust ourselves enough as a human population to
Oh, I
know that
trust
we
myself.
have enough of us to lock arms. No, I trust myself too, but I'm telling you, we need people to believe that there are more of us than there are of them.
Well,
And
they're
this is
we talked
over
about
when we
this a couple
say it
weeks
is.
ago. They're loud, they're obnoxious, they're obsessive, they're always in your face, and it's so annoying. It's just
They're the
so
reason
annoying.
Haldol was created.
Very true. Well, and this is the thing too. We just need 14 days. 14 days. Just give me 14 days and we're going to slow this spread. And look at where we are now. Now people are being locked up. I mean, if you would have told me what is it, 2 years, 3 years? I've completely
Time
lost
warp.
track of time now. But
Time warp.
it's 1984 all over, or the book anyways. It's just as insane to me. I don't know. I'm not okay with it. Clearly.
No, none of us are okay with it. And the fact that we're not okay with it is what should be instigating that change. So if you're not okay with it, what do? Do you go scour away in a corner and just go about your life and pretend
No.
everything's okay and nothing's happening? Or do you say, well, what the hell can I do? Where do I fit in and what can I do? Do you get involved at the local level? Do you start taking a stand? Do you start talking to people that
Yes.
you know have maybe some skewed beliefs or are so hung up on that damn television spewing out the narrative? Because when you control the airwaves, you control the narrative.
Everything.
Why are we letting them?
Well, and
cut
that's
your
the thing.
cable? Get rid of
And-
that shit.
Well, and that's the thing, is that they truly distort reality. They make you think. They group people together. And this is initially what we were going to talk about. And then everything, broke loose. All hell broke loose in Canada.
We had
But
to do Canada.
When you look back at just some big things that have happened, and this is going to sound really stupid, but I'm just going to take this because one of my best friends and I were talking about this, but that recent murder with Gabby Patino, I think that's how you say her name.
Ryan
Anyways,
Landry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have all these different types of media, and they all have different views, and everything is different. And the truth is completely distorted. You don't really know what is fact. You don't know what is fiction. And here you are. And you didn't know, what was going on with her. And people are on it like that. I mean, the media, everything is at your fingertips. And
Yeah,
it
but
is
how
just
much are
really-
they? They're omitting so much.
Oh.
There's so much omission going on from the actual turn of events. The real life world events that are
Yes.
truly taking place are being omitted or minimized or walked back on a Friday evening at 7 p.m. in a newspaper clipping with, very little mention, like, oops, we were wrong. Nobody's looking at that. They put this big loud ass message out on the headlines. They blast it. They do the mockingbird dance where they pound it into your brain, subliminal messaging, until you believe it, even if it goes against your own cognitive beliefs, your own moral values, your own ethical everything. It goes against everything you believe, but because you've had it pounded into your head now for several months over, now you're going, maybe I'm wrong. No, people are no longer trusting themselves.
Have you ever felt like that?
Me?
Mm-hmm. Have you ever felt like, is everything I feel right? Because I'll be honest, there's been a couple days,
Of course, I
very
question
few
myself.
days, but I'm like,
Of course,
maybe
it's me.
Right. Well, here's
No.
something else I find really interesting. And I wrote this down on my little notes, but they put a fence around the White House. Remember that recently?
How could I forget?
They also now have a fence around the Parliament. And I think that this has been done as a psyops. They want it to seem like, oh my gosh, these people, they're coming for you. Like they're literally going to, J6 again, which J6 was nothing compared to what it could have
How
been.
about I take it a step further with Biden's Build Back Better plan, which, by the way, we haven't seen any building, we haven't seen any back, or we haven't seen any better. Nothing's
I can barely
better
afford
in
gas, I feel like,
But
right now.
This turd
I'm
keeps
donating
talking
kidneys
about he wants to
on the
have
black market.
high-speed monorails and everything else, and then I'm going, well, they're putting fences around the Capitol. Boy, this sure is starting to look like Hunger Games just a little bit.
Yes, it is.
I know you ladies are in good conversation, but the man of the hour is here,
good.
and he's in the
Yay.
green
Thank
room. And considering everything is going bonkers over there, I don't know how long we have him. So I was thinking, if you guys don't mind me interrupting, we can bring on the Trans Master if you guys are ready for that.
Bring on the
We're ready.
Trans-Splendor, Trans-Master, Transnational. Trans, you are amazing. We look forward to hearing from you, everybody. This is Trans, the one and only. You can find him on Twitter. He's been keeping everybody up to date with the latest breaking events in his video blogging continuously throughout the day, every day since this convoy has begun, and the arrival into Ottawa. So we are so beyond blessed to have Trans in our lives. Trans has gotten quite the following with this situation too.
As he
He
should.
loves that. Oh, I know he loves that. Not.
Oh, absolutely. And before we bring him on, because everybody's been asking me, when's Trans coming back? Where's the Transnational? Listen,
Oh, we're boring people.
Trans
See these people.
is
We need Trans.
Trans is on fire right now. I put it this way: the guy is so on fire right now that I'm having to send Alex Jones emails telling him, "You better back the fuck off my guy." Okay?
How funny.
Okay, you better get
want
off.
him? You get on the Alpha
I
Network
know you
show.
want him on your InfoWars, but you better back off. So let's bring Trans, and when you got a rock star like this, we got to introduce him with some good music.
Oh, bring it. Yeah, that's cool. He loves that.
I love this song.
Hey, it's Trans.
Yeah.
Man of the hour.
Little
Hey,
red hot chili
Trans.
peppers. What's going on, ladies? You
Love
look
it.
lovely. Alpha, you
Thank
look
you.
okay, I guess.
It's an improvement, trust me.
Trans,
That
I got to
beard.
tell you real quick before we get into the real meat and potatoes. You know what it is about those Beats headphones? They're a permanent fixture now. I can't unsee you without
Are these
the
Beats? These are
headphones.
my
No,
child's
those are his
headphones.
kids.
I don't even
I
know
love
what
them.
They're
those
called
are.
iClever. They're my children's
You're so
headphones.
fun. Are they earmuffs? What are you using them as? Just to block out the
Just-
external noises?
I actually prefer earbuds, but my kids broke those or lost them, or I lost them. I'm not going to blame my kids for all earbud losses, but yeah, these are my children's earphones that I packed into the
Oh,
car.
how
So
funny.
they became the thing. They became the look, and they're not very loud either. So they're I guess they protect children's hearing. So
Perfect. And it's funny because now every video I've seen you upload, you've got those headphones on. So I'm like, I can't unsee this now.
Mhm.
I just
I love
expect to
them.
see you wearing the blue. Earphones, headphones.
Yeah, they're a thing now, right? My wife's toque and the blue headphones are a bit of a thing now. So, and the mullet was always a thing. And that's
You're gonna
getting
have a
little
logo.
Now the
long and out of
beard.
control.
Well,
You're gonna have
Yes.
a logo.
next year when Marvel makes its Canadian heroes bobbleheads,
right.
you're gonna have the trans one, and it's gonna have those damn headphones on it.
That's
It's gonna be
right. And the
sick.
mullet and the beard.
Well,
Mullet and the
you
beard.
guys are talking to me from inside an Orwellian bubble that the police have just sealed us all in an emergency act that makes it arrestable for us to even gather in a group of 5 people if they deem that could cause a disturbance. So I'm in full Gestapo world. This is like, occupied Germany now, and I've just told all of Canada to drive up to the barricade and be lawful. So it's kind of it's not stressful, because I've always known that these guys were going to try something, not the police, but the tyrants who we're threatening the power of, and then the trajectory of our society, which is linked with every other world society. So it's kind of a big moment right now, but you know what? I got to be on a new perspective, or guess what? The whole ship will sink. So I'm glad you guys have been rolling for 45 minutes. You just been freestyling. That's the art of it. That's what you got to do. What have you guys been talking about?
Oh, just about everything we can think of.
Yeah, we have
But
a lot
mostly
to talk
you.
about.
Yeah, look at your clear cameras and great lighting, and Jesus, I'm in
You look
my buddy's
amazing.
hotel room. Do I? Okay,
Please.
cool, good.
You do. That beard,
Yeah.
though,
No,
it's
I don't
getting
care.
big.
I haven't
to-
shaved
love
in
it.
weeks.
How many people do you think now have been sort of sequestered out of the streets and pushed aside? How many people are still occupying?
I
What's
don't know.
happening?
Stuff's happening outside that I have no idea. I know that 2 of the leaders of the movement, Tamara, has been arrested. There's another kid, Shane Marshall, who was also arrested. I guess he's connected in some way. I have no idea how so. I've talked to him many times. He's never talked about. They consider this as some sort of insurrection or occupation. That was a hilarious narrative that only the lunatic mayor and then the lunatic deputy police chief were forwarding, and it's based on taking a photo of a Nazi flag with Trudeau's own photographer and then branding that as the whole movement. They are so desperate, they're running on fumes. But good news, zombies that watch Matrix News can run on fumes. So they've been running on fumes for weeks. There's no violence at all unless it's Antifa or hystericalized citizens of Ottawa by their mayor being insane that have slashed the tires of the 4-wheelers, which are trucks, the non-big rig trucks, and painting dicks on trucks, painting swastikas on trucks in the middle of the night, handing diesel to truckers as if they're good Samaritans, but there's sugar in the diesel. So the only crimes have been against the truckers, but that has been sold as, like we pick up our own garbage. The area, a stretch of like 300 yards, which used to be filled with trucks, is now returned to normal Ottawa, and it's just covered in trash. It's just a mess. From top to bottom, where there is no truckers, there is just a mess. And the 400 officers that are on the daily patrols around the downtown core have had nothing but an easy ride of high-fiving patriots and loving their country. But the tyrants can't have that, and now they've put the cops in this horrible situation where they get to be Gestapo now. And whether they'll be it, they've been it in a few cases. Whether that represents the majority, we'll see. But my theory is, it's all a deterrent. They don't want anyone coming down. They want it to be easy to sweep away the truckers. And you know what? In lack of not having a general, I'm not issuing orders, but I'm telling anyone that listens to me, come down and don't go past those barricades. Don't give them more of a chance, but we'll increase our footprint. Like, if you think this is going to stop, we'll wait for your emergency order to lift and we'll come right back in. This goes on forever until we're free.
Now, real quick, Trans, for those that aren't familiar with you or have never seen you before and are kind of saying, okay, I think
Wild.
he's in Ottawa. Can you kind of give us an idea, without giving too much detail, where you're at and kind of what's going on? Because I want to bring up 2 news articles that showed up on our Gateway Pundit, and that I'm not sure if you're aware of, but if you can just give a little bit, everybody that's listening, an idea of kind of where you're located at. Not specifically, but just generally.
No, I've moved around within the downtown bubble. I'm beyond the concrete barricades. Wellington Street is like the Las Vegas strip of Parliament. It's all the official buildings on this one street called Wellington. And then the police have cordoned off a couple streets, Sparks and Queen. And then Albert, I think, is after Queen, and they're kind of running, long ways. And so Wellington, Sparks, Queen. Wellington has full of trucks. Sparks is empty. Queen is empty. And Albert is largely empty. But the north-south roads are filled with trucks too. And they've been trying to shuffle them around. And our leadership agreed to a deal to like pack all the trucks in like sardines for the police chief. And they kind of walked into one there. But who knows? I mean, it's easy that people get really mad at me for judging their strategy. But it's just, you know, I haven't spoken up for 2 weeks. But then when they cut a deal with the mayor that put the trucks into a little tiny box, I had to speak up. But I'm right downtown in the core, right inside what they've made a secure zone, which within this zone our rights are suspended and the cops all become these what the tyrants hope will be Gestapo, but which most cops can still exercise their discretion and choose not to arrest you for grouping up in a tent and saying that's going to cause a disturbance or you're contributing to mischief, or if you send out a tweet that, you know, says come to Ottawa, might consider you an insurrectionist. Who knows how they're going to interpret it, but you know that orders are going out to take out the leaders of this. Luckily, it's been a largely leaderless movement because the troops have such simple orders: exist peacefully and let them lie about us, and slowly people will understand that we're all here in peace and we've never broken any laws. It's our lawful right to assemble. We've left access lanes open. We've done jumped through every hoop that the police could want, and now it's just up to the people of Canada. Are you just going to let these brave truckers rot on the vine, or are you going to join them? Are you going to, you know, contribute to getting your society back? Because if this fails, I don't know what else could possibly work after this.
No, I 100% agree with you. And you know what, Trans? I'm glad that you had the courage to call bullshit when you saw it, because too many other people rely on emotions. And because of that, they ignore the red flags right in front of them. Before we get into that conversation, because I know the ladies want to ask you about that, the Ottawa police chief, the one that I said was a piece of shit, I don't know how you say his name properly, Slowly or Slowly?
Slowly, yep.
Slowly. He resigns. Now, this is kind of the thing that I was talking about before you came on. Now, this guy, you know, I had tweeted out, I think last week or the week before, and I said, hey, you know what? The dude's a piece of shit. I feel sorry for the cops that work under him, just because of what he was enforcing. Don't allow fuel to get to the truckers. Don't allow food to get to the truckers. You know, trying to instill fear right there. I mean, he's sharing all this shit. And then that guy that I was hoping that would happen on summer screen with Eric, you know, passing by just in his chonies. But that's what I love.
Well, that was my screen. That's my buddy from Ajax who's up here. I called him down yesterday. Yeah, sorry, I derailed your point.
No, you're good. So he resigns because they're asking him to do something. And I base this off of what I'm seeing, you know, that's being reported from Gateway and the actions. He resigns even after he was doing all that. And the only way a piece of shit like that resigns is when you're asking him for the next level of things to deploy or even beyond the scope of what he thinks is okay. Yeah. So now this new interim chief checks in, Steve Bell. And I don't know if you guys had access to seeing it, but this is the quote that he said. So on Thursday, Chief Bell told reporters that the Ottawa police are ready. This is the quote: ready to use methods people are not used to seeing in the Capitol, end quote. So when
he's a psycho.
When you hear that, what do you think this piece of shit and Trudeau have up their sleeve?
Don't care. It relied that the whole reason that Slowly resigned was because there's a gap between what the evil tyrants want the rank and file to do and what they will actually do. So he felt that pressure to come down on his rank and file, and the rank and file was giving him a return pressure going, we know that these people aren't what you're saying they are. And so caught within that, he just resigned, and there was just utter turmoil. The whole municipal council has been in turmoil because Trudeau has been letting the truckers fight with the municipal level of government to, you know, because he's a coward that wants to hide out, because municipal can't give the truckers what they want. It's got to be, our problems are with provincial and federal mandates. So it's always been a side battle that they've been putting this evil undue stress on the police with, when all they needed to do was recognize we're a lawful protest. They chose instead to perpetrate a massive psyop that would represent us by the false flags that are literally false flags of Nazis that are being photographed by Trudeau's own photographer and representing our entire movement of hundreds of thousands of people that have been down here. So it's all been a pretext, and the rank and file know it. So now that we have the psychopath boy in here, what he says does not match what the police will do, but we're ready for anything. If you want to do evil, that's on you. All we'll choose to do is be peaceful, and they can't set us up. Everyone's learned from January 6th, and it's up to their own conscience. Like, we're not returning to a communist hell. We're doing this for our children. They're not going to grow up in hell, and we don't care. You cannot do a thing to us. You can use your ear-destroying technology. The LRAD system is being deployed. We don't care. You'll look like Satan when you do that. If it's our jobs to be flayed alive before the people of Canada to show them that you're living in Stalin world, then that's what we'll do.
Now, Trans, for those that are listening that are like, oh shit, LRADs. But what are LRADs? You want to give us a little heads up on what they?
I have no idea. It's something that destroys it's a sonic weapon that attacks your eardrums, and it's used in extreme situations. It's like, yeah, you want to be a psycho? Go be a psycho. Like,
yeah, it's supposed to cause a huge discomfort, making you almost want to feel like you want to pass out or you're disoriented, so you run away from it.
So I have a question regarding that newspaper clipping and what this new police chief or whatever, this comment that he made. It sounds to me like they're sort of moving the goalposts on what they consider to be unlawful activity, and with that, the anticipation that they're going to be making arrests. Have you heard any sort of discussion or word on them building any makeshift jails or internment camps, so to speak? Or, I know there's a couple jails in Ottawa, but I think they only hold a capacity of like 345, and they might be, nearing capacity or whatever. I'm not sure where they're at, but, is there something going on in the background with that anybody's heard of?
They've had 3 weeks to prepare to not talk with us because they know they don't have the power to grant us what we're asking for. They can simply resign and leave, but I don't think they're at liberty to do that. I think these guys are all compromised 6 ways from Tuesday, and they never wanted to act in good faith. Their only plan has been to demonize us as a violent occupation, which we're completely not, which is why they're having trouble getting the cops to carry this stuff out. So I don't worry about what their plans are of where to house us, and I haven't thought about it or research that. I think that's like, doom porn that paralyzes you to do the right thing if you think about that stuff too much. But I'm sure they have stuff. I'm sure they have stadiums. I've heard reports of Red Cross providing meals for, when mass arrests come and you're lawfully obligated to feed people in large numbers. It's like, okay, great. Am I sure about the strategy to say, come down to these checkpoints and don't go past them? I don't know, but I was talking to one of the greatest legal minds in Canada about what our options were. I talked to him for about 40 minutes. And from that, I need to give people some sort of plan so people don't get lost in their deterrent operation, which is just to paralyze you with fear of what they can do. Stop worrying about what they can do. Worry about what you can legally do. And I'm not going to encourage anyone to break the law. I haven't done that from the start. That's why I think I'm still not under arrest for any kind of insurrection, blah, 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 blah. I'm doing everything within the law and letting them be the tyrants, So,
okay.
Yeah, so I don't know about the camps.
With all the pressure coming down that we hear sort of, everything sort of closing in, and I know that's the doom talk. Have you seen anybody turn around and sort of head home? Or what's the common sort of consensus with everybody there that is holding the line? Are they staying through and through until this thing shifts in the right direction?
Question. Yes. I want to know
that. I'm going to say that's Summer's question, and Lisa's not getting credit for asking it. But yeah, I'll say that truckers have left, and more have been coming than have left. And in the front row seats at Wellington, there are concrete barriers up, and they're not being allowed in. They're in a very confined space, packed like sardines in there, where they used to be more spread out. We used to have a larger footprint, but this fits in line with what Psychopath Bell was saying he wanted to do and what our leadership agreed to do in order to get nothing in return. So they failed in terms of, they brought in a negotiator that was a matrix negotiator. He was Doug Ford's chief of staff. Now Doug Ford is like an evil Ron DeSantis. He's the governor equivalent. He's the premier of Ontario. And he is another guy that's compromised. And when we're using his old chief of staff as our negotiator, and they agree to terms with Mayor Watson, who's characterized us as occupiers from the start. And then he sends this letter out that is just this cold letter going, you are occupiers, you are disturbing my citizens, blah, blah, blah. If you do this, if you agree to promise that no more protesters will come, if you agree to move to all these spots and get out of residential zones, we're not in any residential zones. There is nothing. There are no families growing up in the downtown core of Ottawa.
But you're honking. Trans.
Yeah, we're honking,
You're
and that's
honking,
disturbing
and
babies
that
that don't exist down here. Like
Honking.
we're not in a residential zone, right? So we agreed to, first of all, the terms of what he calls a residential zone, which was Albert Street and Bank. They're completely not residential zones, and so we cleared our trucks out of there and packed them like sardines into Wellington. And then there was another thing: agree not to backfill. No more trucks shall come in to replace these trucks. They're asking us to limit the popularity of the movement itself. And then there's a bunch of other insane demands. And when they started, and then the response was written by Tamara, but it was negotiated by this Matrix asset named Dean French, who is the Doug Ford, evil Ron DeSantis chief of staff, who just flew in to do this deal with Watson. And the deal was completely terrible. But I don't think it was a fatal deal, because we have the truckers are all still here. They're very, very disciplined people. And in terms of Sun Tzu, our army is just unstoppable, and their orders are simple: come here and exist peacefully. We've got other camps that are outside this protection zone that are loaded with big rig trucks. We've got a place called Coventry that has just a whole town and infrastructure. If people are getting sick and they're going to Coventry, they're probably getting ivermectin and all kinds of stuff that our healthcare won't even prescribe. So healthcare has become death care in Canada, because they don't acknowledge Peter McCullough and Zelenko's treatment protocols to lower hospitalization and death by 85%. So we're in a psycho world here, you know. Exactly.
So,
you guys are getting that too? I thought, what are you, Florida, Lisa? You guys get it. You guys get the good treatment.
Yeah, no, there's places we can go to get it. But I was happy to talk to a nurse. That's a side story, who actually had she knew what was going on, and she was, only a 7-year nurse. And I was like, she knows what's going on. So I was actually happy about that. But, I guess the pivotal moment for this freedom convoy, from what I'm understanding, is, if we can convince the law enforcement to flip over and push back and stand with the truckers, that would be the pivotal moment.
It would be a great thing to see. I don't know. It's kind of like the madness of crowds and follow the leader. If you've got enough people that look like they're doing one thing, everyone will follow along. So it is based on numbers to stop them from arresting us, existing in the maximum number possible. But now that you've dropped these restrictions where they're limiting the weekend surge, because they're very scared of the weekend and how many people will come in, and that they're on their last legs. And if they don't sweep us away now, they'll never be able to. So, there's some people that would think, you know what, ignore those barricades, just walk on through. What are they going to arrest you all? But I don't know. Talking to the legal professor that I talked to, I would say, at least if we get them as close to the barricades as possible and not walking through, everyone's here, everyone's very close by, and the truckers have always assumed we would be unlawfully arrested by all the doom porn coming out, that they're going to come any day now. They're going to come any day. It's like, we are not afraid of that. It is not a lawful arrest because we are a peaceful protest. Will we need to await our day in court to prove that? Probably, if they go through with it. But the cops have largely let people through with the diesel. They've exercised discretion instead of discretion, where they disgrace themselves by being the Gestapo.
Now, let me ask you this, because
That's
you know how
hopeful.
I feel about law enforcement, Trans. It's where my heart rests. Have you had a chance to have personal conversations with some of these guys? And how do they feel about this?
I don't pass any cops without saying, thank you, guys. You're here to defend us and the charter, not work for tyrants. That's kind of my catchphrase when I talk to all of them. And they usually walk in like platoons of like 10, and I'll just say hi to all of them and say thank you, and everyone's super nice to them. As soon as there's an agitator, we all point them out, and then either like the RCMP, which is our federal police, the OPP, which is our provincial police, or the OPS, which is the municipal Ottawa police, will instantly just hop on the guy that's being the agitator. They're on our side. Anyone that's around us doesn't fall for the psyop, which is why I think they have been siloing cops on the outside of town where they don't get to interact with us. So they'll be more likely to follow the leader as they turn into what their children will be ashamed of in later life when they ask, Daddy, what did you do when the battle for our freedom went on? Oh, I cracked down on peaceful protesters, son. Aren't I great? So
Seeking freedom.
Let me ask you about a military tactic that's used, because I'm curious if you see it being deployed there. So, when you're overseas or you're working in some foreign land and you move into, from war combat into more of a policing, you'll have a unit, let's say a platoon, like the 10 and 12 cops that you saw, and they'll be assigned, maybe like a 3 or 4 block radius, and they'll run this thing for, maybe 5 days, 7 days, and then they pull them out and send them somewhere else. And the reason they do this is not because they're tired, or they don't want them getting attached to the locals. And so then they bring in a new set of eyes, and they keep this rotation up with people. Are you kind of seeing that? Because I know when you're on the ground for some time, you get used to seeing certain faces. Are you noticing that with the police out there, that after so many days, you're getting a new shift element, and the other ones are gone?
Question.
Yeah, I haven't really noticed. Some of them wear masks. I'd say like 30% of them don't. And I can't remember where I saw you, if you were on this block. But generally, I think it's a crew of 400 that watches over the downtown core. But I also heard, because Trudeau is evil and he wanted his RCMP, who I've only had great interactions with the RCMP, but because Trudeau wants that jurisdiction for his own, they have subverted the Ottawa police by swearing in new police officers. I don't know if they're coming from the federal police being sworn into municipal level in order to get that switch up. You know what I mean? Of people that haven't been around us long. But then I'm like, oh, I'm glad they're here. Then we get to convert more people over to our side. They get to see that we're peaceful and that no crime exists where a trucker sits. So, I don't know, but I would assume that would probably be a good plan. And that's all they've been doing, is planning to, if you're a pig farmer, you don't give the pigs names because you're going to be taking them to the slaughterhouse, right? And I think they've been encouraging that type of treatment of the protesters.
Now, before we move into, the leadership and some of the, I think, things they failed at, just to get the idea so we can pick up on the truckers' attitude and mentality right now. Regardless, like, let's just say the, quote unquote leadership of this convoy was to come out tomorrow and say, hey, you know what, you guys, we met, we've talked about it, and we're going to pull out, and, if they don't give us what we want, we're going to come back in several weeks. If they saw that this, alleged group of leaders made that comment, do the truckers themselves know that, no, our resolve is to stay until these mandates are lifted, and there is no negotiation beyond that? And I know I'm asking you to speak for a lot of people, but considering you've been in the relationship with all these people for some time, what do you think they're leaning towards?
It's hands down 99% of truckers are here until we're free, and they don't, if someone ordered them to leave, there's no one that has the type of authority that they respect enough to follow that order. So there are some people that could have been elected to speak for the truckers, but I think the general leadership that we had was, maybe they meant well, but they were just agreeing to stuff that really put us in a bad spot. But it's like none of it was fatal. It's still there's no way for Trudeau and these guys to win. I mean, if they want to make an example of police and make police disgrace themselves, I don't think that works for their cause. I don't think that people are going to give up on this at all, and that this is not something you can sweep away. The sheer army of heavy duty tow trucks that will need to come in to move the amount of trucks we have down here is just, it's going to take months. So
one of the big red flags that I saw with the movement the leadership made, and with that letter and the guy that went and negotiated, is anybody that's seen, a Samuel L. Jackson negotiator movie knows one of the basic principles is I'm not giving you shit unless you give me something I really want. And just the fact that didn't happen already pissed me off.
It didn't happen. He asked for everything. They gave it to him. And the only reward we get is the honor of talking to a mayor at the end of it. This movement is so much bigger than anything a mayor could grant us. And I gift wrapped, but I didn't. He did all the hard work of coming forward. The one counselor out of 20 in Ottawa who isn't on board with psychopath Watson wanted to recognize the truckers as guests, and he was reminding the police that it's not your job to remove people, it's your job to uphold the law. And if they're not breaking law, which they're not, It's not your job to be the personal henchman for Trudeau or Watson or Ford. And he came forward to call the truckers our guests, not our occupiers. And I put him in contact with trucker leadership, Tom Marazzo, and he was rebuked. He was like, yep, no, just send Watson a message for us. And the day before, he was begging and whimpering, exuding no strength on behalf of the truckers, saying, oh, come on, come meet with us. Come on, we want to talk to you guys, like anti-art of the deal type stuff. And then he still came back the next day and said, I want to talk to him again, because he knew that talking to us would extend a level of protection over the convoy where a crackdown wouldn't be coming, because we're in talks. They've never wanted to be in talks with the truckers because they've always wanted a crackdown to sweep us away. So this one counselor was going to extend a level of protection because he knew that they were involving child services, because 1 in 4 trucks has their family with them, that they wanted to come harass these truckers. They didn't have the power to take the kids, but they had the power to word it in a way that would provoke the truckers and make them think that they were taking their children, just to get them to be the violent people that they have been broadcasting we are to the media. It's a provocation war, and we weren't falling for anything. So to avoid this, he came forward and spoke out at great risk and harm to his near-term reputation and safety. He spoke out, and he got a very positive feedback from the police, who said, thanks for taking the temperature down on this whole thing. So he came back the next day after leadership didn't want to talk to him, and he said, can you put me in touch with him again? I'm like, I don't suggest you do that. I want you to stand on your own and just announce yourself on the side of the truckers and talk to Laura Lynn Thompson, who's a great independent journalist who I put him in touch with, and he did so. And then the next day, the mayor, thinking his thunder was stolen, wanted to regain initiative by calling in this matrix asset negotiator, Dean French, to come get the worst deal in history for the truckers. So despite all that, we have been doing fine, and we have been thriving with the help of Canadians who swarmed in here today and swarmed in yesterday, creating a huge number of people within this protection zone, or the secure zone of Orwell that they've formed with the barricades outside. Let them be tyrants. I'm just telling people not to break those barricades and not to walk through. If trucker leadership supersedes some guy on Twitter who suggested that his squad fam and anyone that's listening to him get down to Ottawa and get as close as you can without breaking the law, they can choose to do so. But that's what I'm saying right now. Do you know what I mean? We have to do something. We don't just sit there in this chaotic, oh, what do we do? What do we do? Do this at least. And if someone else tells you something in the future, sure, choose to listen to them or don't choose to listen to them. But what I'm telling you is all of Canada needs to get down here. I would be fucking ashamed of myself if I sat at home and watched these truckers do what they've done for over 3 weeks for nothing, to just let it get swept away while you watched at home.
And so, sorry. So Alpha, I'm going to ask this real quick. Being that, I agree with you 100%. If you're a Canadian and you want this, you're pushing this, head down there. But what can they do? Is there something they can bring, supplies, something to help out to keep people nourished, to keep people warm?
No.
Are there things that are needed? How are these people eating? How are they fueling?
Well, food is in abundance. Food is in abundance, and part of what they're saying, I've written it down. I talked to my law guy of writing down what his concerns were. It's we're not going to provide any support for these truckers or people within the barriers. So if you bring food down, that's for you. That's not for you to give anyone. You're not going to provide. They're freezing accounts of anyone that even donates money to the Give, Send, Go. They're going full Orwell, shutting people down. It's the death rattle of a tyrant, and you either go along with it or you resist it. And they're freezing everyone's money that has ever contributed. Everyone's getting cash out of the banks. The banks are collapsing. They were going to do a controlled crash of our society and then blame capitalism before they bring in the WEF plans of you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Right. We're making that happen sooner to make people choose a free country again.
So is that what?
God bless Canada.
So last night, I think there was 4 or 5 banks in Canada that just went offline for a while. Is that tied to what's going on there?
Oh, I think many, many people are taking every dime they have out of the banks right now if the government is moving in to freeze assets. Like Trudeau is full-blown tyranny right now. And trucks that have left have been ones that are threatened that if your company's truck is here, we're reporting them all and you're going to lose the ability to insure your trucks and we're going to freeze the assets of your entire business so you can't pay your staff. They're going full scorched earth because you don't come to Mordor and Sauron's going to do nothing. He's going to do a few spells on people, and we're not going to get what we want in some easy pathway. It's been easy up to this point, but for weeks they've been scheming about how they can use every power at their disposal to not give Canadians freedom to opt out of a failed medical experiment.
Well, the thing I found completely stupid when they make that threat that, you know, you're not going to have this and you're not going to have that. I mean, it's humorous, but that's like me telling my wife here at the house, if I don't get my way, I'm shutting the gas off to the stove. Well, that's the very stove she uses to feed me. Does Trudeau and these dumbasses not realize that if you try to cut off the truckers, this is the heartbeat of what gets everything throughout your country? And if they turn around and say, you know what, no, we're not going to deliver anything to you, you guys have the power, not Trudeau.
Yeah, they're operating under the principle of 90% of the people have signed on, and now they're betraying what they really want to do. Get 90% to turn on the 10%. You know, these are the people that cry out for that 1% of the population who's trans. You must care about them, and you must, you know, bend heaven and earth to accommodate them. But when it gets to the 10% who don't want to take their vaccine in the trucking industry, they're just hoping to turn 90% against 10%. Classic communist playbook, turn the people on each other, hope they become a bloodthirsty army working for you. But it's not the case. Most people took the 2 jabs thinking it would be over. They're not going to take the 3rd. He doesn't have the army he thinks he has on his side, and we will ultimately win. But it may take a little time. It may take a little martyrdom on our part, and I mean that as peacefully wait to be unlawfully arrested. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But we're at the crossroads in Canada, and not once have I been, you know, feeling down about this. I would feel down if I'm just sitting in my home waiting for tyranny to incrementally swallow our society like it's been doing to America and everywhere else. You know, for once we're on our toes, and you know, God willing, America gets on their toes like immediately. I don't know why even people were setting a date of like, we'll start in March. I'm like, I would start my truck and drive there right now.
Right.
And that's
they're planning the same rate you're planning, you know?
And it's so important, Trans. I mean, who would have thought Canada would have been the tip of the spear in making this movement? I mean, you guys are the nicest damn people that exist on the planet.
Right.
So, you know, one of the things that if you can communicate to your guys, and they probably know it already, but if not, and you guys have already sacrificed so much. Like, I know you must miss your little ones and your family, and I'm sure everybody there does. I know what it's like to be deployed, and essentially you guys are making those same sacrifices. But the one thing I would say is, as much as you've already sacrificed, it may require you guys to go through even more. Maybe some people are you're going to have to go through more for your tyrannical government, Trudeau and all them, to reveal exactly how tyrannical they are. For the rest of the public that's stuck on the fucking propaganda to realize, you know what, all this stuff everybody was saying is not so crazy. Like, it really happened. And it's unfortunate that it may require that sacrifice to be made by you guys. But if it does, my prayers are that that's finally what tips the scales and makes everybody realize, okay, sitting at home and just watching TV isn't going to do shit. You know, I need to go over there, stand on the outskirts of these barriers, and just make my presence be known that I'm here. I'm here legally. I'm not doing anything wrong, but I'm not leaving until the truckers that are on the other side of this barrier get exactly what we all demand.
No, exactly. Yeah, no one is afraid of what's coming. We've thought about that. We thought day one it might come. You know, we thought, why are they letting us in? Why didn't they block the roads? Why didn't, you know what I mean? We thought it was January 6th. Invite them in. Oh, litter them with people that are telling them to just go into Parliament. So no one, like, I'm afraid for the cops' conscience, because they've been good guys that are put under a pressure cooker to now be evil. I will be able to be proud of anything I can sacrifice in the future to my children and to anyone watching, to say, you know what, I did everything I could, and this is what we had to go through to get you a free country back. And I'm honored. Everyone wants to have a fight to sacrifice for. It's why kids went to World War II and lied about their age, even though they knew it was the most brutal war ever. You know, it's something that men want to do when they're not locked in decadence, and the decadence is just burning away from all these people. It's like that Sleepy King spell where he just comes back to life. That's what's happening. The culture is building. Breitbart said, you know, politics is downstream from culture, and everyone's crying about, well, we're in a quagmire. We can't elect this. We can't secure elections, because you're not doing it bottom up. Your people are still too decadent to achieve the political aims you want. You have to be an example and be proud of yourself. And there's nothing about any of these truckers. Like, it's just, you have to experience how Jedi-like these guys are. They have Antifa coming in their face yelling, losers, spitting, slashing tires, and they just don't, it doesn't even faze them. We know that any aggression loses this for us, and we are a total peaceful, do what you want. This is on your conscience. You're going to have to live with this 10 years down the road and explain to people why we became a tyrannical society and what did you do to change it. We're just very proud that we have a chance to stand up to this and not let Trudeau get his way. And most of Canada, like I've said before, Trudeau gave us the gift of being a bumbling tyrant. He is so obviously working for the Chinese, international communism, and pharma. He's whored himself out in 3 different directions, and it's apparent to everyone, and everyone agrees that they hate Trudeau. He has no support at all. So it's a very good jump off point to get out of decadence. And they wanted our country to collapse in the direction of communism. And we're going to ensure that if it must collapse, it's going to be rebuilt with patriots and not foreign bought compromat politicians who all went through a process to get where they are by having lobbyist meetings and the whole corrupt system that gets them to where they are. We're going to replace all that. We're going to learn from the mistakes of Trump, that he couldn't reform the GOP. It was irredeemable, and he was a 1 in a million character. You need a whole new party. We need to replace them all. And that's what the PPC is going to do if elected. But if someone has a better idea at this point, I would just love to debate that person. We can handle that after the mandates are ended, but the mandate request is a non-political ask. We are not going home until we have a free life, and we're not going into a failed experiment that is killing everyone that gets involved with it. Eventually having no immune system has repercussions. So we're all getting out.
No,
I'm so proud of this. I'm so proud of this movement. This makes me so proud. Now, I have so much pride for Canada now. I just want to hug Canada altogether. I just love them.
I love my new flag, my Canadian American flag. I'm so proud. It's beautiful. But as a mom whose daughter is now immune compromised and having to go through hell and back because of this, I feel every word you just said. It's don't leave, please. I'm begging you. If I could be there, I would be there. But don't. Yes, this is our legacy, and we have to do this for our kids.
No, I know you guys would. I know America is just, they're made of the same stuff, and especially red state America. They get it. You guys were, you know, it was, we looked down our noses at red state America up in Canada until it came time for the truckers to show us the way, right? And now we're like, these guys had it. You have to care about your country. You have to care about family values. You can't just progress off a cliff with these communists.
That's right. No. That was my motivation. That's why I felt called and compelled to go to January 6th. That's why I was there. You know, This is my country. This is bullshit. Something went awry here, and it really went awry there. Whoa.
One of the conversations that I wanted us to have with you, Trans, before we let you go, because I know you have to be exhausted, brother, and probably have a lot to do, is I want to rewind it back, 5 or 6 days ago, maybe a few more days than that. There's some great spaces being held on Twitter that are keeping us, all up to date for those that know how to find them and know how to get the updates for the Freedom Convoys. However, there are a lot of Americans that don't know about these spaces and aren't getting that info and are trying to figure out what the hell happened. Why did these resources and trucks move? Can you rewind us back to what happened with the letter and the negotiations? Kind of explain what you saw and what your reaction was to that.
That was kind of my point about the counselor that I tried to introduce to leadership, and they shunned him. And then the next day, the mayor is working behind closed doors with, hey, it's all been taken care of. And so I had that spaces with Benjamin Dichter, who is part of the trucker leadership. And I demanded, when that letter came out and we saw Tamara's response, which I think her name was just on the letterhead, but it appears that Dean French, the Matrix operative, was the negotiator for this horrible deal. She was like the Chris Steele put on the letterhead when it was really Fusion GPS that wrote the dossier. So when that came out, I just demanded, I'm like, trucker leadership, you guys don't have press conferences like ever. You don't explain where people's money is. You lecture us on Bitcoin coming in. No trucker cares about Bitcoin. And then they're like, well, no, it's just Bitcoin donations. I'm like, then why are you preferring the Bitcoin donations to getting sorted out the fact that you keep getting decentralized payments to yourselves? That's through you're all putting money in one big bag that the government just takes, instead of having, hundreds of different accounts that the truckers could have been taking from. And then you just click on a map. Here's your block captain. Here's your this. You can donate where you like. And so I had problems with them. And I said, I've stayed quiet for 2 weeks, and you guys haven't been conveying to the people what your intentions are. Please come on this space. And by the way, Tamara, can you confirm if this letter is real or fake? Because it's horrendous. And they kept on just dodging and talking through another kind of like, who would he be the equivalent in America? Just like a popular web guy named Pat King, who's not connected with the leadership, or at least unofficially, he's unofficial leadership, a peripheral figure who's saying, guys, it's a fake letter, and then they start coming out. Well, like hundreds of people are petitioning them to just say it's a fake, and we won't talk about it. We'll just not worry. You don't need to answer Mayor Watson's insane letter, but we want to make sure that the letter you wrote that's like promising him you'll sell the trucker leadership on this move is a fake. And eventually they kept saying, they're like, don't watch mainstream news. We haven't struck a deal. And I just kept saying, I don't care if you struck a deal. Tell me this letter's fake that says you're in negotiations with the mayor, in the worst negotiations of all time. And then eventually Benjamin Dichter joined the spaces, and we kind of had it out a bit. And I'm the bad guy for questioning, because that's divisive, and we should, no matter what happens, we got to show a unified front. And I'm like, yeah, but when the general tells you to, stab yourself with your own bayonet, I think it's time to question the general. You can't just follow them into demise. You need to call them out if they're going to lead you into hell.
And let me interrupt. Hold your thought right there, Trans. I don't want you to lose it, but I want to say something because it's really important. And I didn't like all the reaction that I heard that you were getting. Let me start by saying to anybody that's listening, one of the single greatest things to show courage is to say the unpopular thing when it's the right time to say it. And the fact that Trans remained quiet, allowed these people to do these things, allowed things to go the course that it went, and saw something that was very detrimental taking place and said, hey, I'm going to question this. That's not something that you call divisive. That's not something that you say, oh, he's against the movement. That's something where you should be saying, you know what, thanks for having the balls to ask the question I didn't ask. Because one of two things are going to happen. The person's going to explain it, and you're going to say, okay, I get it. There's nothing nefarious going on. I think we should have handled it different. Or they're going to come out and expose themselves for what they could potentially really be that's harmful to the movement. So I just want to tell you, I respected you before that happened, Trans. There's a reason we connected and we did all these things. Mm-hmm. But when I heard you did that, that's the kind of shit in war times that people get medals for, because 99% of people wouldn't have had the balls to do that. Nope. So, kudos to you for that. Don't lose that at all. And I know you won't, but hang on to that, because trust me, those are the kinds of acts that when history looks back on these things, that's the shit that makes a difference. Because guess what? That lets the people know, hey, they're watching us, and they're watching us with a fine-tooth comb. And if this was an honest mistake, we better get our shit together. And if it wasn't an honest mistake and it was something nefarious, they got their eyes on us, and we're not going to be able to pull this shit off.
Cheers, brother. Appreciate it. Yeah, it wasn't easy. I didn't want to do it. And I had to mute a lot of people that really believed that I hadn't thought it through, that I hadn't weighed out whether it's too divisive, that you should say nothing, or should you say something before they fly the plane into the mountain. So I had to say something, and yeah, I have no regrets about it at all, no matter how many people don't understand strategy, or and I'm not claiming to have a great understanding of it, but I know enough to know when a horrible deal has been reached that compromises a movement. And it seemed almost like there was such little communication, where I told him, I'm like, you can have, they're getting very possessive. It's like holding the ring. No one else can touch it. This is ours. We'll tell you what you need to know when you need to know it. I'm like, no, we're kind of in the biggest negotiations in Canadian history. And Tamara Leach is a great human being for getting the movement here. And you guys created something great and beautiful, but it's time to open it up. It's time to use the brain trust. We have one of the founders or writers of our Charter of Rights that in the city willing to help you. We have law professors standing by willing to help you, but you have to say that you need help and not make secret deals like, oh, we got a guy that we can't tell you about, but he's going to be great. And then you find out it's like, no, this is Doug Ford's old pit bull. This is a really, really bad choice, and he got a really, really bad deal for you. But like I said, I don't think it's fatal. The movement is alive and well. The soldiers are so good that we can abide a general that kind of sends us into a suicide mission and come out of it on the other side, like almost unscathed. It really did. Like, we're still here. Do you know what I mean? Like, they didn't swoop in that night once all the trucks were moved off Albert Street, which is clearly not a residential zone. Once all the trucks were swept away from Bank Street, which was clearly not a residential zone. It gave us a bigger footprint, harder to kettle in. It was just, it was a bad strategy move, and we got nothing for it. So it was just a mistake, but it was along a long line of mistakes from people that, had not really communicated with anyone and just kind of been, I don't know, maybe a bit out of their league with how intense things were getting. We're in the heart of Mordor. These people are used to screwing people over for generations. They have been doing it. And you guys are honest truckers coming into this, and we love that. And that's part of the, the wellspring of all the courage and bravery. But at some point, and I didn't want it, I was trying to be clear, I don't think I'm the guy to do it. I'm just telling you that there's a huge amount of people around us that are really wanting to help you. And there's no reason to get possessive of that ring. Hand it to Frodo, Boromir. It's just, you've held it a little too long. You're getting a little too possessive, and it might cost us our movement. But it didn't. So we're doing great. And now it's the stars of the show are the police, and they have to do some very uncomfortable things. And our consciences are all clear, guys. We're feeling great.
I love that Canada, our Canadian truckers, have sort of showed up as the proverbial gray man. So unexpected, nobody saw this coming, and it's that sort of hypothetical, walk quietly, carry a big stick. And, I'm not saying they're carrying a big stick and they're going to hurt anybody, but they're essentially like, the level of discipline is off the charts. The fact that they've been able to just restrain themselves with all the adversities they've been faced and, the harsh conditions of the winter clearly in Canada, but you guys, I think, are accustomed to that, the snow and the rain and the freezing. It's like, an ear would have fallen off of me by now if that was me. But I'm with them in spirit. I'm with you in spirit. I'm so proud. It's on our minds every day. It's in our hearts every day. And we are just blown away the level of patriotism that has taken place and finally just digging the heels in and saying, hell no,
and
we are not.
Honestly, Trans, there is going to be a day when your sons are going to look back and say, that is my dad. He is a badass. My dad was there. He made history. He saved the world, not just your country, but the world. Like, we are relying on you right now. Who would have ever thought? And I'm so thankful for you. For what you're doing. Well,
thank you, fam. You're too kind. It's really easy.
No, it's true. It's not.
Trans is going to be
it's
important.
A lot.
With that trans,
the truckers are doing all the work. They are the greatest people I've ever met. They're a very special kind of human.
Alpha, hang on a second. I got this. J-Man needs that shirt. J-Man needs that picture. We got to get that shirt. We're desperate for it.
What shirt?
Not the shirt. The photo. You're talking about the
photo with the smileys. Your avatar of your boys.
Yeah, so he could put my face and James's face on.
Oh yeah, okay,
we need that.
No,
J-Man's gonna thank me for that. You need to get that for us because we're gonna make it go viral.
now, before they drop an EMP on you guys and we lose the internet connection with you, Trans, you have sacrificed a lot, brother, and I know what it's like to be away from your little ones and your missus, and that's not easy. What's your give, send, go, so I can put it up right here on the banner so we can
dude, I think it's shut down. I don't even worry about it. It's in my profile of my Twitter, so if you go on that, but I have a feeling it's all been shut down. Anything that's connected with the trucker thing, it's at this point, I just want freedom, and the truckers, we all have ample amounts of food here. We're going to be able to last it out, and hopefully Parliament, they're debating it right now whether the emergency orders will last or we'll be able to exist as free people that are having illegal protests, which is the reality. But yeah, they're debating that right now, whether to keep Orwell or dispense with it. We'll find out soon. But yeah, as for money and that stuff, I've even been holding people off donating to truckers because ever since the trucks all shifted, I don't know if some of them went home. Like I've got their emails, but I didn't take their phone numbers, right? And I've got like message fatigue with how many people want to come in and donate. I'm like, just wait for the weekend. Everything's getting frozen. We don't want to freeze your account too. So just relax. We're all doing well. We've all got enough food. And then when things open up and the tyrants are gone, we can, settle up and make sure that these truckers are taken care of and they have enough gas to get home and return to a free life.
Right on.
Are there any concerns about your current accommodations? Any talk with these hotels in the area about removing people out?
No, underground parking's been pretty good in the locations I've been driving into, and it's been nice and warm in my van. And I'm in my bro from Ajax.
Oh yeah.
That's Carmen. Yeah, and he's got a hotel here. He answered the call when I said, get the hell to Ottawa. So
That's awesome.
I said, let me use some Wi-Fi for this stream tonight. And I did a little stream earlier with the Plaid Army boys. So he's let me use his room for that. But yeah, the van's been great. It's been, $20 a day.
Nice.
Yeah, no problems.
Awesome. And I know you've probably thought about this before, and you can't clearly answer it, but if you had to take a guesstimate on how long this could potentially walk out for, what are you thinking?
Good question.
For everyone, I think they'll descend on us tomorrow morning. And I look forward to hearing the horns of the trucks. They're told to lay on their horns. We've already had a practice run at it when Pat King gave us a false alarm. So we had the practice run this morning, and then I had a nap, and they're like doing it again. But that was just like a walk of Jericho, 7 minutes.
I was
of
there. I
horns,
watched that live.
Yeah, and so like I went to bed, and I'm like,
Yes.
I'll wake up, and they said, don't worry, they're not going to honk their horns. If it's a steady horn, it means they're coming. If it's like a beep, 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 then it's celebration. So I heard the steady horns, but I missed the memo on the March of Jericho, right? And so I just rushed back out there going, okay, I'm back. And it's like,
Oh my
okay,
God.
it's another false alarm. So
God.
tomorrow will probably be the real thing. Maybe it'll be 3 a.m. at night, but I'm sleeping within earshot of the trucks and can't wait for those horns to go and for us to fulfill our destiny as being peacefully arrested by unlawful dictates from a dictator, which should inspire the movement to grow 10 times in size. If not, we just succumb to tyranny and everyone just gets used to living in a pod and being a miserable drone human.
AI.
Then do me a favor, and you can think it over tonight, Trans, to see where your level of comfort is with this. But if you have a way of getting your wife's email or phone number out to myself or one of these ladies,
Yes, please.
get that info to us. So in the event these Call Me Bastards do that, we can make sure we take whatever measures we need to do to set up an account for her here, and if we got to do it stateside. So this way,
Gotcha.
you don't have the worry about who's going to feed my family, where my
For
kids.
sure.
You don't need that
We got your
worry
back.
with everything that's going on.
Appreciate it,
We have
fam.
six on that, man.
Yeah.
So I don't have nothing left for Trans. I don't know if you ladies do.
What are we, 6 minutes over? Who's messaging? Is Randy messaging? Get off. You're over. The sponsors are going to let you go.
We're proud of you.
We got you on, Trans. We can keep you on as long as you want, brother.
Yeah. I love that the truckers you guys are all like, honk Morse coding. Like, I think that's fantastic. We're doing Morse code with the honks, beep, beep.
Oh, I know.
It's-
Stop
It's
honking.
going to be great.
That's what they were saying tonight. Stop honking.
You're inconveniencing
literally,
me.
you are causing PTSD, Trans. Honking
Good.
is PTSD
Keeps
now.
me in business.
I
Do
know,
it.
right?
No, exactly. Honking is violence.
Honk, honk.
Honk, honk, beep, beep.
Beep,
Drink,
beep. Thank you for
Well,
being with
awesome,
us.
guys. What
Trans,
are we
awesome
playing wrap
of
up
you to
music?
join
Randy
us.
Fady in the wrap up music. This has been
Oh.
a new perspective with Summer and Lisa.
Well, once these ladies say bye for you, Trans, I have an awesome surprise for you. But I'm gonna let
Oh,
them.
nice. You're going to give me a ejection with honor.
Oh,
Great minds think alike, brother.
Yeah. Okay. I want my
Excited.
ejection with honor. Let me stay backstage so I get to watch it, though. Okay?
Candace, you better be here. Candace better be watching. That's all I'm
Anna,
saying.
do we have a chat on Twitter? A space?
I have no idea. I have
It's
no
it's
idea.
streaming on there. I don't know if they have
Oh,
it
cool.
playing in one of the spaces or not, but it is streaming to Twitter.
Trans, thank you so much for coming on. We'll have to reconvene if this walks out, another few weeks. We'll just come right back and
Absolutely.
No, we'll do it next week for sure.
Catch up again.
Maybe things will
yeah,
settle
so-
down. We'll
I
do a
think we should-
transnational.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The people are
Yeah.
missing you. The
Your
emails are
fan
coming
base
in.
misses you. Here we go. Yeah.
I even got a
Transnational.
hate mail. I'm gonna have, you know what? I'm gonna CC it to you when someone said, "Did you get rid of the transnational?" I'm like, chill out, man.
No,
I didn't
never.
get.
Oh,
rid
I
of
thought
him.
it was like, good. He's such a bigot.
I was like, no, I didn't get
He's
rid of him. He's
asshole.
the guy's
It's not a
out
hate
there.
mail. It's a love mail for me. It's a hate mail for you.
Yeah, it was love for you. It was hate for me. And I was like, hey,
Good.
pump
That
the
guy
brakes.
rules, or that girl
Pump the
rules.
brakes. So, all right, brother. Well,
funny.
Don't
then,
mess with transnational fans. All right, boot me out. Give me the ejection. Let's see it.
here it goes.
Ejection
There's,
with honors.
there's
coming
nothing
your
better
way.
than using Trans's
love you.
own video to say
Hold the
goodnight.
line.
Oh, it's Gandalf and Frody. Let's see it.
Hold the line and stay safe, brother.
Hold
Yeah,
the
man.
line. Stay safe.
Hold the
Thank
line. We love you.
We love
Love you too,
Canada. We
guys.
love trans.
Talk.
That's hilarious.
Well, he's everything you guys expected, I'm sure.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he is. He's just like fine wine.
sad,
He's
though.
getting better with age.
Well,
I mean, I think he'd have been very disappointed with himself, and I could not see Trans just sitting idly by with something like this going on, just kind of watching from the sidelines. That never would have ever suited him. So he was meant to be here at this time in history. He is certainly making history, and I love that he's keeping us all updated throughout the day, each day, with his video blogging. And
he's
he's got
phenomenal.
a lot of people relying on him for these updates. So
I love
he's become quite
such a
the
doll.
transnational. He is.
He's
He
so
is. And
cute.
that fantastical mind. I mean,
Oh, he's brilliant. Oh my God. I didn't even want to talk next to him, but I'm a little tipsy, so I'm just gonna pretend like I'm
You
not
know,
even here.
Summer texted me, I'm tipsy.
Keep
I
saying
can't really
freaking
tell.
honk honk and making you guys drink.
I know. Well, that
Honk,
was the
honk.
honk honk. Well, I think we're gonna have to stew over what we want to discuss next week. There's so many different things that we've been sort of toying with. So, we're definitely going to be coming back with a part 2 regarding the anxiety situation. I don't know if we're going to bring that on next week. I'm kind of interested in sort of keeping a really close watch on this bonds for the win situation. Seems to be really, really making
Ramping
a lot
up.
of, it's ramping up. And it's sort of become this, and I have to say, I really truly believe this is why we're seeing these mask
Yes.
mandates in school start to fall away. And they're
And Lisa,
not
are
breaking
you
up with
on
that, so-
Telegram?
I am on Telegram, but I rarely
Are
go
you
over there
f-
because
Oh,
yeah,
I'm all about
Right.
Telegram right now.
I've been
so
trying to
they
dig
have-
into it a little bit.
There's a
real-
really good channel for that.
No,
Go ahead,
Alpha, you
Alpha,
can't
sorry.
talk. It's our show.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, right?
I'm just kidding.
This
I
is
always
your
forget that. This is my shit. My shit.
This is your guys' show. So I was actually going to say goodnight to everybody and then let you ladies do your thing and wrap it up.
Yeah.
And I will honor the requests that are coming in because people are like, oh, that was cool. And since I made us 15-20 minutes late,
Yes,
people
you
want to
did.
see me get the bad ejection, and I'm a good sport.
Oh yes, the airlock. I love it.
So I will give myself the bad ejection. It was great being with you ladies tonight. You guys are doing a fantastic job, and I
Appreciate
can't wait.
Oh,
to
do you love us, Alpha? Are we
Yeah.
are we on your channel forever?
She's totally tipsy. Oh my
absolutely,
I'm dropping
absolutely
pennies.
tipsy because her studio's falling apart now. So
No, my
Real
studio is
quick.
good. No, I'm falling apart.
good
Real
night
quick,
to
real
everybody.
quick.
And I just wanted to plug Trans's channel real quick, you guys.
Yes.
If you have Rumble, go to search channels and type in trans dash or hyphen national live and go and subscribe to him and support that man show.
That's right. That's right. Great questions tonight, Alpha. Thank you for joining us. And it's been an amazing roundtable, an amazing episode.
No, absolutely.
Excuse me.
So I will self-eject myself. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.
We
I love that. That's awesome.
that was I love that song.
So, we're going to wrap this up because we've gone on now for just a
Oh, are
little
we
bit.
live?
I don't know. We're still live, I believe. Yeah,
Oh,
we're in the
shit.
show. People are still listening to us. We're totally live.
They
So
don't see me.
I'm going to name the a new perspective drink called the Summer Bomb.
Oh my gosh, when we come out there.
Sneezing, the set's falling apart, you're drinking, we're having a great time, but you're fabulous still no matter what.
You know,
through
it's
all
been
of
a
it.
long day, and I'm proud. I'm proud of what we are a part of. I never ever thought that this would be like where I am in life, but I'm very thankful because I'm on the right side of history, and I'm thankful to do it with you, my BFF.
My boo, my BFF.
Honk
I'm
honk.
Hong Kong biatch. Listen, I'm more than thankful that I don't know how sort of I fell into these same circumstances, but I think it's because, you know, we are where we're meant to be, all of us, each one of us, and, you know, all of our friends, our family on Spaces that have supported us through this, and Medi, our number one fan, who's always the
love
first
him.
to arrive. We love
I
you,
cannot
Medi.
wait to meet him.
Medi's getting called out because he's always the first to show and support. And you are brilliant, and you always have great commentary.
We
and
should have him on our
love you.
show.
Medi's coming on next. Whatever
Oh
you
my
want to
gosh,
talk about,
I'm
Medi,
so
you tell us.
I love him. Thank you, Medi.
So thank you, Medi, for the support, and everybody else, thank you for the support. And I have to do this quick little
Tracy,
Harley, if you're
Randy.
watching, I sent out your book. I finally sent it out. I'm
And
sorry it took
Harley,
so
if
long.
you're
Shame.
watching, please follow me back. My old account is nooped. My new account, I follow you. Please follow me, Harley. I love you and your puppy.
Oh, yeah. She's being terrorized by that puppy. She's probably not
She's a
watching
mess.
this anyway. We should probably end this. We've carried on for long enough, but we're going to see on the flip side. Maybe we'll go hang out in Spaces for a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, I will. I don't have to get up early. My kids are out of school tomorrow. So
Well,
thank you, Lisa. I love you. I love you to death.
I
Alpha
love you.
Trans. I am honored to be a part of this. And yes, I've had a couple glasses of wine tonight, but it's all good.
We've got a lot of fantastic
It's been a
support.
long day.
It has been a long day. I've been up since 6 a.m. So, you know, I'm
6:45.
interested. I'm interested in to see where we're going to go from here. This is our 6th episode. Believe it or not, that came very quick.
Is it really? I didn't even
Sixth-
realize that.
6th episode. 6th.
I
So,
love that.
you know, you guys, we're going to continue to support Canada all the way. They're going to hold the line.
Yes,
We're going to
we
hold
are.
the line right there with them. And we are going to, you know, we're going to see what American truckers are made of, I think, coming up here in the next few weeks, hopefully sooner rather than later. But guys, it's time to go. We're getting the alpha warning. We got to cut it out. So I'm going to say deuces until next week.
The big studios have held back artists for far too long. The system is set up to reward the studios and not the artists. In this polarized world, where everything is viewed through a political lens, it used to be entertainment that allowed us to escape. Whether it was a great movie, music, or a favorite entertainer, we always had those mediums to free us from our daily lives. At Creado, we are developing a brand new solution built with the artists in mind, empowering them to deliver original content directly to an engaged audience. Whether you are an investor or you simply want to support our mission, you can become a member today. We are ready to take the next step to bring this to market, but we need your help. Join our mission today at creado.media, and together we will let freedom stream.